to continue with this line of arts and culture, I want to invite Riccarda Cappeller, that is a researcher and lecturer at the Leibniz University of Hannover.
Yes, thank you, Fede. Also, many thanks for the invitation and for the really great organization of the conference today. And I'm happy to be here. And I will share my screen. Okay, does it work? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so my contribution today is about arts and culture for urban and rural development, which already sounds like a very wide topic. So I want to start today with an initial question addressing 3 examples which lead towards questions of integrating art and culture in architectural and urban design, transforming territories, and also circulating these examples as ideas for creativity. So we are moving back from the actual product about sustainability to spatial dimension. And the question I want to propose at the beginning is, how can art and culture contribute to spatial transformation processes in rural and urban territories? So a first example I wanted to show today is a photography series by Ute and Werner Mahler, who are 2 photographers from school here in Berlin. And they made a photography series on small cities in Germany, which document and observe very closely everyday life and spatial situations in several small cities in Germany. And I think they transport very well the difficulties and challenges we are facing in many of these situations, which are, just to name some, vacancy, the demolition of existing spaces, the lack of working possibilities, missing mobility and networks to move. And also that there are very few perspectives for young people, which really needs new centralities and new ideas for these small cities. So this is actually a topic that in Germany has become more important through the pandemic, which leads also many people to move, and also through possibilities of digitalization, which really make it possible to also form new life situations in also smaller spaces in the periphery. And I would here like to name it also as a potential, so to see small cities as a potential and as territories for innovations where we actually can test ideas, and where it's also needed to try out some new ways of acting, focusing on new centralities, mobilities, and also work possibilities. So a second example I wanted to bring is more in an urban context, let's say. It's a church and music installation in Halberstadt, where so it's the Bukhari Church in Halberstadt, where they created an event that brings, or somehow is a new attraction point and reactivates an existing church through music installation. So they play the music piece by John Cage, the Klangwechsel, and changing sounds very slowly. So there's actually not more than one note in several years. So it's really a long-term installation and not anymore temporary. And this goes on for 639 years, and it's really like a somehow creating a new attraction point, but bringing people to the area. And this example addresses really the topic of heritage as a resource, and also the changing role of the church, which can lead to new futures in these communities, let's say. So just to give some numbers, in Germany, well, it's a number from 2018, there were 53.2% church members, which is around 40 million people. And there are some predictions that there will be a loss of people being members in churches by 50%. So it will be very few. So really these churches somehow also show potentials for different developments, and to rethink also what was religion, space also for meeting, for culture, for exchange, and to use the spaces that this leaves for new ideas. And this is the second image that you see is a project by the IBA Thüringen, and so it's a region in central Germany that is developed through a building construction intervention event somehow. And they also address this topic of churches as a new social and cultural function that really opens up places for possibility. A third example that I wanted to show today is the Institute for Art and Culture in Lenin, which is a platform for creative creation and temporary residencies for living, working, and artistic exchange and investigation, which is part of a network called Netzwerk Zukunftsorte in Brandenburg. So it's the region around Berlin, and a network of, let's say, future spaces that kind of reactivate through arts and culture, implementing new platforms and meeting places in the existing surroundings. So what is important here is actually the development process of the space. So as I said already, it's quite close to Berlin, 68 kilometers, and it's bound to an old monastery in Lenin, which has also 17,000 inhabitants. And what is interesting in this transformation process is the combination of social measures together with sustainable building and this aim of a cultural knowledge creation. So what I mean with social measures is that it was also an old kind of lived space that had a history. It's an old sawmill and also old horse stable. And the whole place was developed through job creation measures. So there was an association founded who then included really the community of Lenin and people that didn't have any more jobs, and they used the site to train them and to also give them work. While doing this, also trying to use sustainable building construction. And what came out is a place that really brings together, it's a co-working space, it's a cafe, it's a workshop place, and has the possibility of 24 overnight accommodations. And it's not just a cultural and art place, but it really is also maintained and organized by this association and by people from Lenin. So it's a really kind of a vibrant place. So what can we actually learn from these examples for designing and creating future habitats as somehow circular territories, which is the topic of today? I think what is really important to get from these examples is that it's they show new directions in how we can think spatially and how we can actually do spaces and create them. And they also foster this topic that we touched very early today of inventiveness to bring really new aspects into place. And here I just want to quote Kai von Keitz, who states that artistic practices can change perception and aesthetic parameters, recognize potentials and make them effective, formulating counterpositions, and thematize and test other ways of life, question existing power relations, and create synergies. So artistic practices really bring something new. And they show also for our discipline that there is really a need of new tools and methods to understand, but also communicate the existing, which addresses what we discussed earlier in narratives, and the need of the redefinition of the discipline and the role of architects and designers. So how can we act and be involved in processes of change in different ways, using this kind of creativity as really putting it at the center of the activity. So creativity as an ability to envision future and not only to respond to demands, but really take it as a departure point for circular processes, which then somehow enable an opening up to complex phenomena and to discover unseen possibilities, as quoted here by Landry and Bianchini, and bringing also something into existing through inventing something new and flexibly adapting existing situations. So as a concrete agency derived from the examples, I just want to stress some points that come together, which is the communicating of challenges and future possibilities, which is about circulating ideas and narratives, making apparent necessity of structural change. Then the proposing of actions for inventive experience, stressing the recycling of the existing, and culturally reactivating and reinventing place. And it's about enabling local relations and fostering interdisciplinary exchange, working with local values and networks, connecting knowledge and actors. And these ideas are, somehow also related to what has appeared in some other presentations today, which is this idea of the new European Bauhaus, which also looks for new ways of seeing and doing architecture and design, stresses the topic of public space and how we can do and co-create it. And also stresses this topic of engaging in the communities through repair and retrofitting cultures. Yes, that is everything for today. Thank you very much.
So many thanks, Riccarda, for this nice presentation.